Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Libertine Holdings PLC half-year results investor presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged. They can be submitted at any time via the Q&A tab that's just situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. Please just simply type in your questions and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company can review all questions submitted today and will publish those responses where it's appropriate to do so on the Investor Meet Company platform. Before we begin, I would like to submit the following poll, which will just appear on your screens now. And I would now like to hand you over to the management team from Libertine Holdings. Sam, Gareth, good morning.
Good morning, Jake, and thanks very much. So welcome to the investor presentation for the half year ended 30th of September 2023. I'm going to take you through these slide materials together with our CFO, Gareth Hay. So firstly, the focus for Libertine during this 6-month period has very much been on technology development. We focused on closing out the first phase of performance validation on both our IntelliGen and our Hexagen platforms. So in this period, our revenues, just £0.1 million of commercial revenues compared to 0.6 in the previous year, have been primarily with Hyliion. And in the course of our technology focus with Hyliion this year, as we mentioned a couple of months ago, we've successfully demonstrated our Hexagen platform in Hyliion's Carno generator, which was exhibited at the ACT Expo in Anaheim, in California, in May of this year. We've also successfully completed design, manufacture, and the first phase of combustion testing of our IntelliGen platform, which is the performance validation prototype of that platform, which is targeted both at heavy-duty powertrain applications and also at distributed power applications. We continue our collaboration with Ashok Leyland, who in fact showcased our linear generator technology in September of this year at their 75th anniversary in Chennai, alongside other developments of the Advanced Engineering Group, including hydrogen IC engines and fuel cells. Just to recap Libertine's business then. So we talk about two technology platforms, IntelliGen and Hexagen. Both of these platforms make use of the same core elements: high-performance linear electrical machines, power electronics, and motion control systems, which can be configured according to the product needs and the application requirement. And the applications of these two platforms are quite different in that IntelliGen is for opposed piston combustion applications, typically using renewable fuels like hydrogen or biofuels, whereas Hexagen is a hermetic motor generator system. That means it's a sealed system for gas compressor or expander applications, which is the application we've been developing with Hyliion. Now, Jake, if I could just ask you to play the video corresponding to slide 5. This shows the section through a cylinder using the IntelliGen platform. So inside here, you can see the pair of opposed free pistons, and you can see our electrical machines on either side. The IntelliGen system doesn't have crankshafts. Instead, it uses software-controlled free piston motion in order to achieve the precise compression ratio that's required each and every cycle. And that might change per cycle depending on the fuel and depending on the operating mode. And it's this flexibility that gives such exceptional efficiency performance and also makes the platform suitable for a wide range of future renewable fuels. Thank you. Now, linear generators using this architecture can outperform other power generators and other range extenders, including conventional internal combustion engines and fuel cells. And in particular, when it comes to fuel flexibility, it's the real-time compression ratio control that allows a linear generator using exactly the same physical parts to make use of alternative fuels and combinations of fuels like compressed natural gas, which is widely available in the UK, and like hydrogen, which is not available much in the UK at the moment or elsewhere, but may become more available in future. And the flexibility to use existing low carbon fuels like natural gas and future zero carbon fuels like hydrogen in the same engine is the key to unlocking a path to a fully decarbonized fuel system. Now, linear generators offer complete flexibility between these two, Conventional internal combustion engines also offer some flexibility, but of course only have one compression ratio. Fuel cells, on the other hand, PEM fuel cells being one type of fuel cell, offers no fuel flexibility. That really requires ultra high purity hydrogen. Solid oxide fuel cells do offer some fuel flexibility like linear generators, but with a much higher price tag and with durability that might be an obstacle to more widespread use over long periods of time. So we believe that the category linear generators ultimately offers the efficiency of fuel cells with the cost and durability of conventional engines, and with this flexibility to make use of future net zero fuels, whatever the landscape looks like. As a company, Libertine develops technology, and we work with power generator OEMs to help them incorporate our technology into their product development, earning engineering fees as we do so. But ultimately, our goal is to license our technology so that those power generator OEMs can create linear generator products in their own manufacturing facilities and in their own supply chains, and quickly scale up production using our technology under license. We also aim to work with manufacturing partners who would be making electrical machines and control platform hardware, which is common across many different power generator OEMs. And both of these types of relationship form the basis of discussions we're having presently, and the end product manufacturers of trucks and buses, which create demand and pull for power generator OEMs, are also very well evidenced in the relationship we have presently with Ashok Leyland. Now, this model means that over time, we expect that today's engineering service revenues over time will gradually be complemented by advanced license fees and ultimately by unit royalties as we transition our activities from joint product development through to manufacturing development, and then ultimately to support our customers in their production ramp up. And this means the type of customers we're engaged with relate to one another. Our central focus, of course, is on the engine makers, the power generator OEMs, but they in turn have an eye to end product OEMs because they represent ultimately the market pool for linear generator technology. And by the same token, manufacturing partners, the manufacturers of e-machines and controls, create the supply chain that make it possible for many different power generator OEMs to rely on the availability of product of supply chain for e-machines and controls at the kind of capacities and in the kind of locales that they will rely on. Strategic development partners, and we've talked previously about our work with Marl Powertrain and with OMI in Italy. Strategic development partners extend our reach to be able to get our technology in front of a number of different OEM customers corresponding to those strategic partners' business development and existing commercial relationships. Just looking for a moment at some highlights from the year. So we've mentioned the work we've been doing with Hyliion, and we're pleased that this has such prominence now in Hyliion's business. Hyliion, as many people will know, is a technology business based in the US, and we demonstrated our Hexagen platform within their Kano powertrain at the ACT Expo. Since then, Hyliion have been through a strategic review and have actually pivoted their business towards the Kano generator for static or distributed power generation applications, which of course we support. Phase 1 engineering development with Hyliion is complete, and we've now entered a period whilst we're negotiating with Hyliion an option for using the Hexagen platform within their future manufacturing and product development plans. We've also talked about our relationship with Ashok Leyland, which continues. If you'll recall, we signed an MOU with Ashok Leyland to evaluate our technology back in 2022. And since then, we've made good progress evaluating and supporting the integration of our platform technology into a product that could be form the basis of a hybrid truck in future. And Ashok Leyland have showcased their linear generator work recently at this event in Chennai, where one of our older IntelliGen products we shipped out to support the exhibit alongside some of Ashok Leyland's hydrogen fuel cell and hydrogen IC engine activities alongside. Now, we've also completed design, manufacture, and a first phase of combustion testing of the IntelliGen platform in this two-cylinder linear generator product system, the LGN120P1 performance validation prototype. The initial combustion testing with Marler Powertrain has used ethanol, and since that time we've now also been focused on some further technology development, some hardening of the durability and enhancing of the performance, so that we can return to combustion testing for longer durations and also with alternative fuels. The following bit of highlight is just related to the second generation of our LGN120 two-cylinder system. So this system you can see here has many of the bits of control and power electronics actually integrated on board the LEMs themselves. And this makes the total system much more compact and better suited to vehicle integration, which is what we have in mind for Ashok Leyland and some other applications. As I mentioned, we are on track with our performance and durability enhancements for both the IntelliGen and the Hexagen platforms. One of the attractions of this platform approach is that the same elements that go into the IntelliGen system also provide the basis of corresponding enhancements to the Hexagen platform. Now, we've also pre-funded the build of a number of IntelliGen linear generator systems. So that means the electrical machines and the control systems you can see on the right-hand side, to support the sales pipeline that we're developing for the course of 2024. So whilst the focus for 2023 has been very much on readying the technology and enhancing the technology in terms of its performance and durability, the focus for 2024 is going to be on monetizing that development with the prospective customers we're talking to at the moment. Just a final point before I hand over to Gareth is to reiterate that in the external market, we see a much greater awareness of the potential role of linear generators as a form of advanced clean technology that can complement intermittent renewables on the grid and therefore help a much faster rate of decarbonisation of the grid as we see an increasing share of intermittent wind and solar, and which is enabled by the corresponding firm generation using renewable fuels that linear generators can offer. So with that, let me hand over to Gareth to talk through the financial performance for the period.
Thanks, Sam, and good morning, everybody. Over the next couple of slides, I'll provide an overview of our financial performance and position for the period ended 30 September 2023. During the 6-month period, our commercial revenues predominantly related to our work with Hyliion to close out the programme to integrate our Hexagen technology into their first Carno prototype vehicle, which they demonstrated at the ACT Expo in Anaheim, California. We've also completed our grant-funded work on BEIS's red diesel replacement programme, which has supported the further development and testing of our IntelliGen platform. Cost of sales have reduced compared to the prior year, in line with lower revenues. Admin expenses have also reduced compared to the prior year, as a result of a lower run rate of core technical development spend, with the work in the current period very much focused on specific performance and durability enhancements that are planned to satisfy entry requirements for the OEM customers that we're in discussion with. Tax credits across both periods relate to R&D incentives for the periods. On the balance sheet, inventories have increased steadily over the last 12 months as we pre-funded the build of a small number of additional IntelliGen prototype linear generators, which are intended to support OEM development programs in 2024. We took the decision to pre-fund these systems to shorten the lead time for sales expected in 2024, but also to mitigate some of the supply chain issues that we saw back in 2022. Corporation tax debtors relate to R&D claims, which have now been submitted to HMRC, and we anticipate cash receipts to come in against those next month. Trade payables were higher in the prior 2 periods as a result of the ongoing work with Hyliion around those times. As at the current period end, the group finished the period with cash reserves of 0.9 million, in addition to 1.1 million of net working capital across inventories, receivables, and payables. Absent of any additional revenues, the group has funds required to fund the business through to May 2024. Commercial interest in our technology and our platform remains strong, and we're making good progress under NDA with a number of OEM customers who we expect to secure revenues with in the next 12 months to provide further funding of the group as we go forward. I'll now pass you back over to Sam, who will take you through our outlook and summary.
Thanks, Gareth. Let's see if I can advance the slide. Do you want to advance the slide for me?
Yeah.
Very good. So as mentioned, we're very pleased to have completed the first phase of prototype performance validation for both IntelliGen and Hexagen platforms. The IntelliGen performance validation, we've been undertaking combustion testing with Myla Powertrain, and on Hexagen, primarily that work has been with Hyliion. As of the 30th of September, the group had cash reserves of £0.9 million, together with the working capital of 1.1 million, which allows us to maintain current operations through until May 2024. Now, we are, of course, committed to continuing development of our IntelliGen and Hexagen platform technologies. And the objective is now to switch to commercializing and monetizing that development with the customer relationships and the customer discussions that are ongoing. The company is presently engaged with in commercial and technical dialogue under NDA with prospective OEM customers around the world for a number of different applications. So, in summary, Libertine's proprietary linear generator technology platforms provide OEM solutions for hard to decarbonize sectors with large addressable markets. We've completed phase 1 engineering development with Hyliion, and we've now entered an option period for the Hexagen technology platform to support the commercialization path. Ashok Leyland is performing due diligence on our linear generator technology for their commercial vehicle applications. And the investment that we've made in commercial relationships and core technology development of both platforms has generated interest from prospective OEM customers across many applications and regions. And so the performance and durability enhancements that we've been investing in, which are now on track, and the pre-funding of the additional IntelliGen systems for our 2024 sales pipeline position us for a return to revenue growth in the course of the coming year. With that, I think we can pass back to Jake and look to some questions.
Perfect. Sam, Gareth, thank you very much indeed for your presentation this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions just by using the Q&A tab that's situated on the right-hand corner of your screen. But just while the team take a few moments to review those questions that were submitted already, I would like to remind you that a recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your investor dashboard. Gareth, Sam, as you can see there in the Q&A tab, we have received a number of questions throughout your presentation this morning. And thank you to all of those on the call for taking the time to submit their questions. But guys, if I may just hand back to you just to read out those questions and give your responses where appropriate to do so, and then I'll pick up from you at the end. Thank you.
Very good, thanks, Jake. So the first question here is from Alex C. What are the major challenges Libertine anticipates in scaling up its technology for widespread commercial use, and how do you plan to address these? Well, let me answer that in a couple of ways. Firstly, the linear generator category is presently not quite pre-commercial. There are linear generators in commercial operation in the US, but the awareness of the category is the first thing that needs to happen to create pull for the technology, for products using Libertine's technology. The second thing that has to happen is engine OEMs, product developers, need to recognize the differential advantages of linear generator technology and build a business case around developing the technology and taking it through to volume manufacture. Now, to reiterate, Libertine is not a product development company, and we recognize that product development is a major undertaking. So one of the main aspects that we focus on in our discussions with engine makers is to show how the technical progress that we've made so far helps to de-risk and reduce the cost of product development. Because the major challenges in product development mostly relate to the later stage development. That's where most of the cost is. In the kind of technical speak, the technology readiness levels between about TRL 6 and 9, if you're familiar with those, that's where the vast majority of the cost of development tends to be. At TRL 6, technology readiness level 6, product basically looks like and feels like the final product, but hasn't been through the cycle of emissions calibration, durability development, and crucially, the economic optimization of components that create a valuable role for the technology in high volume. And it's those challenges that we're hoping to work with engine makers on through their internal programs, which in many cases are already geared up to taking technologies through to product through this crucial period of about TRL 6 to TRL 9. The next question I've got here is from Andrew M. How does your linear generator technology, specifically the IntelliGen and Hexagen platforms, differentiate from existing solutions in the market? So I guess there's a couple of aspects to this. Firstly, if we talk about other linear generator products out there, and there aren't very many, I mentioned there are some in commercial use in the US, but typically those are in use in much larger scale product packages. And one of the key differentiators, both of the IntelliGen and the Hexagen platforms, is Libertine's IP, the patent portfolio that we maintain together with the trade secrets, allow us to make much more compact systems, which are therefore suitable for distributed power generation, where space is at a premium, and of course in power generator applications on board vehicles, where the mass and the space is absolutely constrained by the vehicle layout and by the economic role in the case of payload that's carried by a truck. So the IntelliGen and Hexagen platforms are both more compact than could be created without using our technology, we believe. And I think in the case of the Hexagen technology, the alternatives are pretty slim if you were to seek a linear electrical machine and control solution. There are a handful of electrical machine manufacturers out there who can supply similar technology, but generally on a fairly inflexible basis. And that means the interfaces around the technology don't offer much scope for customization. The alternative is to buy some copper and magnets and have a go at making your own. And the approach that Libertine has taken by providing our intellectual property, but allowing our customers to create their own proprietary product around this, we believe differentiates us both from alternative solutions in the marketplace and helps to de-risk and de-cost and shorten the path to product development by companies who might otherwise look to do that development internally. The next question is from Mike D. Given the significant addressable market for linear generators, what specific segments or geographies do you view as most promising for short-term growth and for long-term growth? So it's true, linear generators we see as having a potentially vast market. I think in full potential is essentially anywhere a conventional internal combustion engine operates today. In future, a linear generator could do that job and do that job better, with better efficiency, potentially as good durability and cost, and with much better fuel flexibility. But of course, the first markets that we provide our technology to will be with beachhead markets with early product that perhaps hasn't achieved full economic maturity. In other words, the costs aren't as low as conventional technology. And therefore, you need to see really differentiated advantages. The efficiency gain has to really pay dividends to justify those early applications. And so we would anticipate distributed power generation applications alongside solar, where the generator is operating for several thousand hours a year and really paying through the efficiency gains for the capital cost of the technology. That's likely to be, I think, one of the most valuable initial applications. And for Libertine, we're looking at applications at the sort of 200 kilowatts or less at that scale, where the number of applications is pretty high, but at a scale where there aren't presently really compelling alternative technologies that can match the efficiency of linear generators. The next question from Colin, are you able to obtain additional R&D funding from the government, which is earmarked money for hydrogen development? And this is certainly something that we're looking at. We have, of course, in the past benefited from R&D tax credits and also directly from grant support. We've not presently applied for further grant funding, but it's certainly something that we'll be looking at next year. And the reason for that is, I think, whenever grant funding is contemplated, whenever R&D funding is contemplated, it's important that it's fundamentally commercially led. And I think in the UK, there are a number of companies that really have the bit between their teeth now in terms of advanced clean technologies, including hydrogen compression and hydrogen combustion engine, hydrogen linear generator type technologies. And I think it's in our roadmap, the first step is to engage with the companies that are planning to make investments in those products, and then to look creatively at how we can leverage available grant funding and R&D tax credits to support a shorter path to commercialization. Next question is from Mark. Do you see major interest in the marine engine market? And the marine engines are, of course, typically described as hard to decarbonize, and maybe that's a misnomer. They're certainly hard to directly electrify, because if you're in an ocean-going vessel, sort of somewhere between China and Europe, you can't recharge a battery in that period, other than by using a renewable fuel. So we look with interest at the development of the future landscape for renewable fuels in marine, and I think there are plenty of companies out there who see methanol being a future renewable fuel. There are some who see hydrogen playing a role. There are some who see fuels like ammonia playing a role in marine. And we, I think, sit on the sidelines there. We are fuel agnostic in terms of where we can support, which fuels we can support using our technology platforms. It's certainly the case that big container vessels, the prime movers on those vessels, are way above the technology scale of Libertine. But there are applications in smaller vessels, leisure craft, inland waterway craft, and also power generators for hotel loads, the sort of the background loads that the vessel needs whilst it's in port. All of those applications could be served by linear generator technology, making use of the renewable fuels like methanol, or possibly benefiting from the fuel flexibility, given that if in future different ports have different fuels available, fuel flexibility is going to become increasingly important. And yes, that kind of overview of the market considerations is also reflected in the OEM interest that we have and the application areas that they see as being potentially interesting. Very good. Jake, I think that's pretty much the point we've got to on questions, unless there are any others.
Perfect. Absolutely, Sam. Gareth, thank you very much indeed for addressing all of those questions that came in from investors this morning. And of course, if there are any further questions that do come through, we'll make these available to you immediately after the presentation has ended, just for you to review, to then add any additional responses, of course, where it's appropriate to do so. And we'll publish all those responses out on the platform. But Sam, perhaps before really just looking to redirect those on the call to provide you with their feedback, which I know is particularly important to yourself and the company, if I could please just ask you for a few closing comments just to wrap up with, that'd be great.
Jake, yes, of course. So just to reiterate, 2023 has been a year of closing out phase 1 performance validation projects, focusing on the learnings, the customer-facing insights that we've taken from those projects, translating those into technology development to support the pipeline of sales opportunities that we see for 2024, and developing commercial relationships so that we can now monetize those developments as we look ahead to the coming calendar year and the second half of this financial year. In the external market, we mentioned an increasing recognition of the role of linear generators, how they're differentiated from hydrogen IC engines and conventional engine technology, and how they're differentiated from fuel cells. And just a closing remark on COP28, which I attended together with Ashwin Kumaraswamy, who was previously one of our directors at Libertine. We didn't attend COP28 just to sort of be a fly on the wall to the well-publicized political discussions that took place there, but rather to meet with the companies that we have been speaking to in the region, and to meet with other companies who have converged on COP28 on the sort of trade show aspect of COP28. And the thing that really jumped out from those discussions is this pressing and unmet need for better firm power generation technology to match and accommodate this very rapid increasing share of renewable wind and renewable solar, which is fundamentally important to decarbonisation, but which presents challenges to the grid in terms of the intermittency. And those challenges can be addressed by advanced clean technologies like linear generators. And that really, in a nutshell, explains why we're so excited about the prospects we have for taking our technology forwards with commercial partners next year.
Perfect, Sam. That's great. And thank you once again for updating investors this morning. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as you'll now be automatically redirected for the opportunity to provide your feedback in order that the management team can really better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, but I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Libertine Holdings PLC, we would like to thank you for attending today's presentation. That now concludes today's session, so good morning to you all.